Good morning, everybody. Can you all hear me okay? It's a pleasure to be here. My name is Masha Sidova, and I am one of the co-founders of Elevate Security. And our premise is that we believe that your employees of any organization can be security superhumans. The thing that I hear in battle often is that employees are the weakest link of an organization, and I would like to show you that that is actually not the only possibility that we can explore. So Elevate Security has been started by myself and my co-founder Robert. We come from Salesforce, where we were both security executives there, that were frustrated with the amount of investment put into technologies and processes and not into the human element. Because what we had found in our conversations is that employees, when they're unmotivated and poorly trained, tend to be an enormous liability to our organization. How many of you in your organization have some type of mandatory security training that your employees don't particularly enjoy going through? Does anyone have any thoughts on that? Yeah. Often when I speak with employees of any company, they're like, I just mute it and I skip to the end and I answer the quiz questions, and it's a brute force of how fast I can do this. And coming from a background of being a security analyst for the government and seeing what the Russian threat actors can do, those type of videos do very little to protect our organizations against the threats that we see. So, as I was mentioning earlier, what we saw at Salesforce was that there were millions of dollars being invested in technologies, in processes, but not into the human element. And yet it was a core issue, not only for where we were coming from, but also at organizations outside of ours. And what we saw, and what we started building internally at Salesforce and now at Elevate, was that if you invest in the human element of your organization and focus on human behavior, you can in fact make your employees the first line of defense. And the way that you can do this is not by throwing mandatory training at them, but pulling in elements of behavioral science and data that really helps transform them into the most powerful superheroes that can help your organization. And the way we do this is through our Elevate platform, which combines 4 key elements rooted deeply in behavioral science. So we have an element that measures and gives an understanding as to where your strengths and weaknesses are from an employee perspective, so you know where you're spending your time and resources instead of a one-size-fits-all approach. You have the opportunity to educate in a way that is personalized and individualized. You help your employees make better decisions real time, and then you motivate them to shift their mindset so that security becomes a pull on your employees' behalf and not a push. So let me tell you a little bit about what this looks like in practice in our platform. The very first part of our product is called the company dashboard, which aggregates data sets that exist currently either in the public domain space or privately in your organizations. We integrate with a variety of security tools and data aggregators, from orchestration tools like Phantom to Splunk, for really key security behaviors from phishing, malware, password-sensitive data. Our platform also has the ability to generate some of these data sets. We have a mock phishing platform as well. So you can see where you, as an organization, can start focusing your time and attention, and which parts of your organization are already doing a great job. Based on this information, you can then leverage and engage your employees in a really tactical, really meaningful way. So social proof is a concept in behavioral science that leverages the fact that your peers might be doing better than you, and use that as a motivator. Because the reality is, not all of your employees are going to care about security, but they might care about not being last. And so we pull in elements like social proof, calling out top influencers in an organization to start shifting behaviors. And so based on this, we can provide really targeted recommendations for training, as well as provide recognition for when employees are doing great work. From there, we also want to provide a tool that not only helps generate data sets around how your employees are doing, but also provide real-time feedback around detecting phishing attacks and reporting. So this is a browser plugin that we're releasing this summer. And finally, we believe, and from our experience as implementing behavioral science into the security world, we find that if you can get people bought into why security matters, it changes the conversation. And so we have built a group-based, gamified, discussion-oriented game that allows your employees to see themselves from the perspective of a hacker. This game has been rolled out to over 24 companies, including Exxon, Pixar, Autodesk, with incredible results. We found that alumni of this game are 5 times more likely to detect and report an attack that we've never trained them on, because they are now able to think from an adversary's perspective. So in sum, the platform that we built together leverages the elements of data science, behavioral science, and is able to create really personalized and meaningful insights, not just for your employees, but also for your executives and your security team. And that's a little bit about Elevate. Happy to answer any questions. We already have one ready.
Hi, Marsha. How do you drive the employee populations to the employee dashboard or to the game?
Yeah.
How do we make it go?
That's a great question. Yeah. So for the employee dashboard, that's an email that we sent usually on a quarterly basis. We just did a company-wide rollout with Autodesk for 10,000 people there, and we found that that email had a 60% open rate compared to your standard marketing email, which is 29. So effective communications from executives, which is something we also can help provide a template around. So we've seen that people are actually quite hungry to find out how they're doing. There's also elements of reward recognition. So when you do go back and say if you complete the game, you can leverage your score. And so people are asking, what are the other ways that we can do it? So we've been finding that communication around a program like this is one of the most effective ways of driving traffic. Mm-hmm.
One of the biggest gaps in security training I've seen is you do it once in a year, and
Yeah.
you know, if an attack happens in December, you got trained in January, good luck, right?
Yeah.
So how often is this security training conducted?
Yeah.
And you know, do you track incremental improvement of?
Yeah. So that's a question I get often, but I would reflect back to you that that's not the right question. The question isn't how long or how often is the training, but is the training even needed at all, and in what content, with what context, and with what content. If your employees are already experts and don't click on your links, don't download malware, and have a password manager, you have the data to prove it. They don't need to go through training at all. And if they do those, then you need to give them a regular touch points until they shift their behavior or change your training. And without a measurement tool to see who needs what, you're going to do a one-size-fits-all. And if you can make it personalized, you're saving your organization thousands of hours, because what we've seen is that there is actually, specifically for Autodesk, which was our case study in the space, we found that 60% of the organization didn't actually need phishing and reporting training because they were above a threshold that was acceptable for the organization, saving them 1,000 hours of training.
Is the risk calculated based on data on how those employees are interacting with your platform, or is it beyond that?
It's beyond. It's mostly your security stack, and if you have proxies or endpoint protections and they detect, say, download a malicious software or navigating to malicious sites, that's data we ingest and provide that threat landscape for your employees.
That's a follow-on question.
Yeah.
And can it be also used to report on 67 threat?
So this is gradually moving into the UABA space, which is something that for now we're trying to avoid. Yes, in theory you could, right? You could. We are trying to create a gap fill a gap in space where you do the analytics and then give you resources to address them and encourage your employees to do more positive behaviors instead of punishing them and use it as I would call it a spy tool, if you will. But there are other players in this space. If insider threat was your main objective, I do think there is a potential use case, but none of our customers are using it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially on the very first company dashboard that I showed you, they've been showing that to their executives and holding them accountable at a grade level. And the executives themselves have been reaching out and saying, what can I do to make sure that I'm beating my competitor and so, or my fellow executive in the total field.
Do you have a setup where you do peer performance across departments? So all that
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Marsha?
Yeah.
What budget are you going after? There's already
Yeah.
way too many tools, too many budgets. Are you replacing the security awareness budget?
Yeah.
The risk and compliance budget? What are you getting?
Yeah, so we have two main buyers of security awareness and also moving one up to the CISO space, because we really want to be able to give both of those players the opportunity to showcase that their work is impactful and being able to deliver something even higher up to the board to show how they're managing their human element of risk. The budget, the main budget that's already been set aside are phishing platforms, which we have a like-for-like comparison and also training budget, but we're also carving out, we're working to carve out a budget that doesn't exist in many organizations, yeah.
And you talk to me, you're talking to the CISO?
Yeah, well, CISOs and awareness, yeah.
So the challenge that I see is a lot of the CISOs, law enforcement, they have the security awareness,
Yeah.
they do it and they're compliant. Do you see a challenge if you go have them, replace their security awareness or just an addition to it? Because they're not going to necessarily go change that. It's already done, it's working for them.
Yeah.
They have adherence, and that's what is required.
Yeah, so we are a behavior change solution, not a compliance solution. So if they have something that they send out, people sign the policy, and we can do that, and if people want to replace it, fine. But if you want to start shifting your behaviors and actually stopping humans under risk, that's where we're positioning ourselves from as a company. And so it's a yes to both of those parts.
I've also picked up a little bit of the cyber range part of it too.
Oh yeah, from the IBM cyber range thing?
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, on the last game, yeah.
Is that your tool or are you partnering with the cyber range?
We've had some conversations. Cyber ranges are much better for executive levels. The game that I showed is excellent for your average employee who you can't afford to send them to a cyber range exercise, but we've been in that kind of exercise.
And your pricing is per user?
It's per user per year.
All right. Thanks so much. Any last quick question? Back.
What was the example you gave about users that went to the training and they were 5 times more likely?
Yeah.
What was the threat they detected that otherwise they wouldn't have known?
Oh, it was a phishing attack. So they rolled the Hacker's Mind game out to their sales organization that was hit shortly thereafter with a real-life phishing attack, and the employees that went through it were 5 times more. Went through the game were 5 times more likely to detect and report it. And this is after they had done regular phishing training the year before and their compliance training. And so we were able to see that people who had graduated from this alumni actually were not only resilient in not giving up their credentials, but were motivated to actually do something about it and alert their security team. Yeah, and we just ran another test that found that people who went through the snapshot, the personal email, reported there's a 160% increase in reporting rates across the organization, which are on a scale of thousands, because some people are like, I just want to get my score up. Like, security, I just want to get my score up. So humans are tricky things. All right, I think I'm getting the boot. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, everybody. Final company for today. Arinka Bay, if you want to come up. You are closing out the show today.